Some discoveries from the past leave us with more bigger questions than answers. Instead of confirming what we think we already understand about the past, they shake our assumptions or hint that everything we know about history might be flawed. These out-of-place ancient artifacts constantly frustrate historians and archaeologists, but they also spark the most amazing stories. And it's those stories we're here to share with you in this video. Let's start off this countdown with number 15, Kila pottery shards. Nanotech might feel like a futuristic science, but its roots stretch further back than anyone expected. The proof is this collection of ceramic shards which was found in Kila, Tamil Nadu, showing clear traces of carbon nanotubes, 2,600 years old. These aren't flukes or the result of environmental exposure. The nanotubes form a deliberate black coating on the pottery, preserving it with shocking resilience. To achieve this, ancient artisans had to expose the ceramics to extremely high temperatures, which raises serious questions about their technology. They likely applied a vegetal solution or organic resin to the surface before firing, suggesting not only precision but intention. While the creators may not have known the term nanotube, they absolutely understood the outcome. These aren't happy accidents. This is calculated craftsmanship from a culture whose grasp of heat treatment and material science is far more advanced than we've given them credit for. These are the oldest known carbon nanotubes ever recorded, and they came from an Iron Age civilization long before the word nano even existed. Number 14. Etruscan tomb silver hand. We still know far too little about the Etruscans, the people who lived in Italy before Rome's rise. Their language remains untranslated, and the meaning of many burial artifacts remains unclear. One such mystery came to light in 2015, when archaeologists uncovered an Etruscan tomb in the Volci necropolis. It's around 2,700 years old and believed to have belonged to a woman, based on the fibula brooches and painted beads found inside. But the most intriguing finds were a pair of finely carved wooden hands wrapped in silver foil. That alone would be puzzling. But the tomb also held an Egyptian scarab, completely out of place. The leading theory suggests the hands were once part of a spheroleton, a wooden representation of the dead meant to be burned during burial. But because these hands were wrapped in silver and copper, archaeologists now believe they were never meant for fire. That's unprecedented in Etruscan funerary tradition and suggests someone made a deliberate choice to preserve these hands instead. Number 13, Zapotec Bat God Mask. If Batman's your favorite superhero, you might share something unexpected with the ancient Zapotec civilization of Mexico. But their version wasn't a masked vigilante, it was a full-fledged god. This jade mask was unearthed in the ruins of Monte Alban, the ceremonial capital of the Zapotec people 2,000 years ago. Worship of the bat god was central to their belief system. Technically and artistically, the mask is remarkable. It's crafted from more than 20 pieces of jade and features eyes made of yellow painted shells. No one knows exactly why bats were so important to the Zapotec, but scholars believe vampire bats played a role. The people likely observed their blood drinking habits and gave them spiritual meaning. Bats became sacred, and offerings, including human sacrifices, were made in their honor. It's assumed those rituals were carried out by priests wearing masks just like this one. In the Zapotec worldview, bats weren't creatures of the night, they were divine, and this mask proves just how seriously that belief was taken. Number 12. Luwian tablet. Let's move from one controversial text to another. In 2017, a joint team of Dutch and Swiss experts claimed they had translated inscriptions from a 3,200-year-old Luwian tablet. The limestone slab was reportedly 95 feet long and described interactions between ancient Troy and a civilization known as the Sea Peoples. But here's the problem. The team wasn't working from the slab itself. They relied on a sketch made in 1878 by French archaeologist Georges Perrault. The tablet was supposedly used in mosque construction in Bakay, Turkey, and was later destroyed. Some researchers now doubt it ever existed. With so little surviving evidence about the Luwians, any potential link is immediately viewed with suspicion. According to the translation, the Luwians themselves may have been part of the Sea Peoples who clashed with Troy. But like the Gospel of Jesus' wife, this entire claim hinges on trust. Without the original tablet, believing in the Luwian account means making a leap of faith, with nothing solid left to verify it. Number 11. Hebrew crucifix in Wales. If someone told you an 800-year-old crucifix with a Hebrew prayer had been found recently, you'd probably assume it happened somewhere near Jerusalem. Instead, it was unearthed in Newport, Wales. Amateur metal detectorist Malcolm Corfield found it buried just 8 inches underground in a field. Experts believe the crucifix was worn as a protective charm, likely used to ward off fever or illness. Etched into its surface is the Hebrew phrase "Et Jeberelim Adonai," which translates to "Thou art forever, O Lord." This expression appears on other medieval charms across Europe and remained in use throughout the Middle Ages. It may have been the ancient equivalent of a personal motto or blessing. On the reverse are the letters A, W, O, and N, possibly an acronym for a lost religious phrase or prayer. Though it was likely crafted in Wales, Hebrew was seen as a sacred language in the 12th and 13th centuries, which explains why it became popular for charms and amulets during that time. Number 10. Stone balls of Kisem Cave. Modern humans have been around for about 200,000 years, but the roots of our species trace back almost 6 million. We often reduce our early pre-Homo sapiens ancestors to little more than upright apes, but evidence suggests they had some sense of culture and tool use. These ancient stone balls are a prime example. While they might seem unimpressive now, around 2 million years ago, our ancestors shaped them to fit comfortably into their palms. These specific specimens were found at Kisem Cave, though similar ones have turned up in neighboring sites. Their purpose puzzled archaeologists for decades, but in 2020 a breakthrough came. Researchers now believe these tools were used to crack animal bones open to access the marrow inside. For early humans, bone marrow wasn't just edible, it was a vital source of fat and nutrients. These shaped stones have also been unearthed across Africa, Europe, and Asia, pointing to a form of shared development that challenges old ideas about how early humans really were. Number 9. Rhodope skull. The story behind the Rhodope skull begins in 2002 when a 38-year-old hiker reportedly found it in Bulgaria's Rhodope Mountains. That part is documented, the rest is filled with speculation. Some believe this skull belonged to an extraterrestrial, claiming it's undeniable proof of alien contact. Scientists disagree, suggesting it's either a malformed human skull or an animal's. But two glaring issues remain: no known animal matches its structure, and no recognized human deformity would result in a skull like this either. Its anatomy includes 6 eye sockets and no visible mouth, making its origins even more baffling. While the skull clearly needs more scientific examination, it's currently impossible because no one knows where it is. After initial photos were published across Turkish and Bulgarian media, the artifact vanished. Some allege the Smithsonian Institution quietly seized it and has since hidden it away. The museum denies that claim, but without the skull, we're left with only speculation. Whatever it was, it's now a mystery. Number 8. Oseberg Cart. The Oseberg burial is among the most significant Viking ship graves ever uncovered, but the ship wasn't the only treasure buried there. Inside the mound, which contained the remains of 2 women, one around 70, the other in her 50s, archaeologists also found an exquisitely preserved wooden cart. The cart has sparked decades of debate. First, it's older than the ship itself. While the vessel was built around the year 820, the cart predates it by several decades. Though similar carts have been found in other Norwegian graves, they appear only in burials of women. The carvings covering this one are remarkable, including animal and human figures, many of which depict cats. That detail stands out according to Norse mythology. The fertility goddess Freyja traveled in a cart pulled by cats. That could mean the cart had ritual significance. Another theory suggests it served a more practical role, used to transport elite women to ships without forcing them to walk. Either way, it was built to be remembered. Number 7. Nephrite swastika. The swastika carries heavy associations today because of how it was misused in the 20th century. But 8,000 years ago, it symbolized power and renewal. One example of that original meaning was uncovered in 2015 at the Neolithic Slatina settlement in Sofia. Crafted from nephrite, a tough, unyielding stone, it's shaped unmistakably like a swastika, though some say it also resembles a frog. The material choice is puzzling. Nephrite is incredibly difficult to work with, so whoever made this had real skill. Historians suggest the frog-like appearance might have been intentional. Frogs were linked to fertility cycles in early agricultural societies, emerging during spring and disappearing in the colder months, symbolizing death and rebirth. Since the artifact was found between two Neolithic homes, some researchers believe it was placed there deliberately, perhaps as a fertility charm or protective offering. Far from being a symbol of hate, this version of the swastika reflects ancient beliefs tied to growth, seasons, and the hope for new life each year. Number 6. Statue of Aphrodite in Amastris. In the ancient city of Amastris, Turkey, a statue first thought to be a water nymph was correctly identified as Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of beauty and love. Excavated about 12 feet deep within the ruins of a gymnasium, the 5-foot marble statue is believed to date to the 2nd century CE. Experts from Barton University and Turkey's Ministry of Culture and Tourism compared it to about 20 other Aphrodite statues found across the country. The statue's distinct S-curve and soft, fluid posture reflected the influence of the Praxiteles school, a sculptural style from the 4th century BCE that was reinterpreted during the Roman period. Following a detailed evaluation, the statue was placed on display at the Amasra Museum. Guray Khan Ekin, the museum's deputy director, highlighted its artistic value and connection to classical sculptural traditions. This find not only enriches the museum's collection but also strengthens Amasra's cultural standing, especially as the city's historic fortress remains on UNESCO's tentative list for World Heritage recognition. Number 5. World War II carrier pigeon message. Sending messages during the First World War wasn't easy. Telephone lines existed, and both Morse code and telegrams were used, but all were vulnerable to enemy interception. In high-stakes situations, commanders relied on carrier pigeons, but not every bird made it. In November 2020, a message from one such pigeon was found in France's Alsace region over a century after it was sent. The note, faded and brittle, was dated 1916 and written by a German soldier. It detailed troop movements, but it's unclear whether it described completed actions or gave future orders. Either way, the message never reached its target. The pigeon was released from Ingersheim, then part of Germany, now inside French borders. Experts believe the note stayed buried underground for decades, likely protected by soil, and was pushed to the surface by erosion. Despite the fragile paper, much of the writing was still legible. It's a rare glimpse into the practical challenges of wartime communication, when even pigeons carried the burden of war. Number 4. Roman mirror frames. In early 2018, 5 ornate mirror frames were found under unusual circumstances in Pavlikani. The objects were found inside the remains of what appears to have been a Roman-era ceramics workshop, itself built within the ruins of a villa. That villa likely belonged to a retired Roman soldier, possibly a reward for his service. Both the factory and the mirrors date to the late 1st or early 2nd century. The glass from the mirrors has long since disappeared, but the lead frames remain intact. Each one bears identical designs, large wine vessels with grapevines curling from their mouths. These decorative motifs might have had personal meaning to the villa's owner, perhaps symbolizing abundance or status. 3 of the mirrors carry the same inscription, translating to good luck. The other 2 read closer to good soul. Whether they were made in the workshop or gifted to the veteran by former comrades is uncertain. Either way, they're rare examples of early Roman mirror craftsmanship surviving outside of a burial context. Number 3. Pagan god figurine in Russia. In 2014, fisherman Nikolay Tarasov was casting nets in the village of Tissel when something unusual surfaced. Hoping for a catch of crab, he instead pulled out a carved pagan idol believed to date back 4,000 years. The figure, about a foot tall, is made from partially fossilized horn and features a strikingly fierce face. Tarasov took the artifact to a local museum, where experts quickly confirmed its Bronze Age origin. The figurine is thought to represent a deity worshipped by the ancient Samis or Okhanev cultures, neighboring Siberian societies that shared religious and artistic traditions before the spread of Christianity. This particular figure, with its intense expression and detailed features, likely held ceremonial or spiritual importance. Despite its potential value, Tarasov chose not to sell it. Instead, he gave it to the museum immediately, calling it a treasure for all Russians. His decision preserved one of the rarest pre-Christian artifacts found in the region and offered a glimpse into the beliefs of Siberia's early inhabitants. Number 2. Fire-making slab. Roughly 9,000 years ago, the people of what is now Ramat Sharaim, Israel, were using a tool that marked a shift in how fire was made. In 2017, archaeologists unearthed a limestone fire-making slab at the site, one of the earliest technological advances related to controlled ignition. Though humans had been creating fire for hundreds of thousands of years by this point, this slab represented a more systematic, effective method. The stone is shaped with two shallow depressions separated by ridged channels. It's believed that dry branches or wooden shafts were inserted into the hollows and spun rapidly, creating enough friction to ignite a flame. While fire-making was nothing new, tools like this show how seriously Neolithic communities began refining their methods. Surprisingly, this kind of intentional engineered fire-starting setup didn't appear much earlier in the archaeological record. Alright guys, now let's end this with number 1. Sikri Stupa panels. The Sikri Stupa, an extraordinary relic of Buddhist art from the Kushan period, dates back to the 3rd or 4th century CE and is preserved in the Lahore Museum in Pakistan. It consists of 13 sculpted narrative panels that bring to life stories from the Buddha's earlier incarnations. Restored to their correct sequence during British India under Harold Arthur Dean, these panels showcase the storytelling strength of Gandharan art. One panel vividly illustrates the Dipankara Jataka, a tale of the Buddha's past lives. In this scene, Samhita is portrayed in 4 moments, speaking with a flower seller, scattering lotus flowers, bowing in reverence, and floating above the ground like a lotus bloom. These visual layers reflect deep spiritual symbolism. The Sikri Stupa captures the blend of Greek-inspired technique and Buddhist themes typical of Gandhara's cultural landscape. Today, the stupa stands as both a historical and artistic landmark, offering insight into how narrative sculpture once served as a central tool for spiritual teaching and devotional reflection. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.